And we are live with our last episode of Tidy Tea Time for 2023. And we figured that we're going to talk
Woohoo.
about yet another trend to end the year. I'm hoping there'll be no more new trends this year, at least,
Of
till at
course,
least
there will be. How will PR make money? It's like,
who?
come
But it's
on.
Yeah.
slowing down. No, we
Yeah.
don't hear so many of the trends like we did at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, that's probably true. People are kind of running out of ideas, but we have another one today. We're talking about coffee badging, which in my mind is pretty much the same as presenteeism. Like we've seen coffee badging being mentioned, like the philosophy behind it at least seems to be something we've heard in the past: quiet quitting, bare minimum Mondays, presenteeism. All of these things are some form of coffee badging, don't you think? Or is there a difference? Am I missing something? Who wants to explain this to me?
What happens in coffee badging? I want to understand this. So there are people who come into office
Hmm.
and they log in or they mark their attendance or however that happens and they head out for a coffee and don't come back to work, or they head back home and get their work done at home. What exactly
Oh,
happens after it?
from what I've read, it's about coming to the office, clocking in.
Mm.
So, you clock in with your ID card or whatever, and then you go get a coffee. So people know that you're in the office, they've seen you, and then you get out at the first chance you get. I think that's what coffee badging is. Yeah? Familiar? Has anyone done this ever?
I think I do this right now.
You do this, you show your face and you like say, "Hi guys, I'm here," and then you get lost. Is that right?
Only the meetings that I need to be there for, I'm there, and then I kind of leave.
But is that coffee badging? I don't think that
I
is
don't
coffee.
know. I was going to ask you guys what that meant.
No, I think it's showing face. It's literally like, the good old show face and then leave
But is
concept.
there any point in showing face if your manager is not there?
I
Or is
maybe
this in
it's
spite
after.
of your manager not being there?
But if
Yeah,
it's
I
just
mean,
like checking in, you just your manager seeing your attendance and everything, so
yeah,
you're
exactly.
covered, right? Probably.
And obviously, right, like, I mean, this is obviously a response to your return to office mandates, right, where companies are saying that, okay, you have to be in the office like 3 times a week or 4 times a week or whatever you have. And so you turn up, you do it, you say that here I am, you asked me to come, I'm here, but now I'm getting out. What you going to do about it? Right. So it's like a pushback. I feel like yet another salvo in this employer versus employee battle that's been raging over the last few months, I think. And it's kind of sad, isn't it? It defeats the whole purpose, right? What do you guys think? What's your feeling?
I don't think it's a pushback. Like the exact example that Kiran said, and I see this amongst my friends who have hybrid work as well. When they go to office for those 2 days, it's really about just sitting down with their folks and having those conversations and having that coffee and having that collaboration and things. So maybe what was missing in remote work is what those 2 days are giving you, getting that chance to be there, interact with your folks, and you're still coming back home and doing your work or however that looks. So I see that as a good thing. I don't think coffee badging necessarily means that, again, you're not getting work done. Maybe that collaboration over your coffee, those chai breaks that you had when you were in office, also added to your work, right? Your team, you kind of interact better with your team, you get things done probably. So it's that informal setting that's getting built, established again. So I don't see that as a bad thing.
But I think the connotation, from my understanding, is that you're being sneaky. You're just
Yeah.
coming in and going just for the sake of it, rather than for collaborative work, like you said, right? I think it's just about being sneaky and saying, yes, I was here 2 days a week. You expected me to come. I'm gonna be here, and I'm gonna quickly make an exit,
Yeah.
right? Um, I like the idea of coming in and doing your meetings, collaborating, and then going when you don't need to sit over there. That's fine. That's totally fine. But I think the idea of coffee badging is more around you being sneaky.
Yeah, it is, right? And it's like we were saying, it's the new form of presenteeism. Back in the day when we all were expected to be in the office 5 or 6 days a week, you had presenteeism instead, where people turned up, whether they were up for it or not, whether they were feeling, whether they were sick or not, and they still did the bare minimum, or maybe did nothing at
Oh,
all.
I got it. It's basically the same analogy as going to college and then bunking and going to get a movie through the day
Attended
or
first
something
thing in
like
the
that.
morning. But
Yeah,
then we need attendance
yeah.
for every class, no, in college.
Maybe,
Proxy.
but in some others it was probably yeah, you're just there and then
Hmm.
you head out and do something else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It is literally that. I mean, and what makes me like wonder, right? It comes back to that one basic idea that, people feel like they need to um, treat their employees like children, wherein it's about, oh, you have to turn up on these days. If you don't turn up, then there are repercussions. So it's almost like you're forcing people. It's a mandate. You're treating people like school kids, where it's an attendance thing. So you're kind of taking away from the whole point of congregating in a space together, which is, obviously there's a larger purpose, lack of understanding of, what the larger mission here is. Why are you even in this job in the first place? All those elements that actually make you a productive, good employee, those are missing, no? I think that's the problem.
So then, in order to avoid coffee badging, our employee engagement activities back, where
Oh, God.
HR has to set up events and like make it uh, that you want to be there. There are
Yeah.
Friday parties, and then there are Thursday learning sessions and XYZ. Is that the answer then?
I'm glad you brought that up because, when I was researching coffee badging, one of the terms that was
Yeah.
used along with it was office peacocking. Okay.
Okay.
Now, we're not going to do a separate TTT on office peacocking, but basically it's just that. You know how we talk about, oh, foosball tables and bean bags and gourmet chef made food available, and, all of those things is office peacocking, which is again becoming a big thing now,
Mhm.
exactly for this reason, try to entice people back into the office. So again,
So who is office peacocking? The office is peacocking, or is it the employee? What? How does that work?
who do you think?
I don't know. I'm confused.
I mean, it's office peacocking. It's your poor HR folks who've been told, make the office like a fun zone
Exciting.
for your
Yeah.
employees. Yeah, yeah.
So
Which
that
is
they
really,
stay longer.
yeah, yeah. That's what it
Mm,
is.
interesting.
Well, I think Lego has that thing already, right? They have like this huge campus that kind of has
Yeah.
everything. Like, so people come in, they have everything that you probably do outside of your office during your remote work. They kind of bring that all in, whether that be your childcare, whether that be managing your hobbies. So they've created that environment, and at least by the looks of it, it's worked for them. So probably that's kind of what office peacocking looks like, but
That's a good
Hmm.
point. But I
Interesting.
think in Lego's case, though, it is about living their brand. I think that's what is different about Lego, because Lego's whole brand is about play, right?
play.
We keep talking about how your brand needs to speak while you're designing your employee experience as well, right? Your brand should be at the core of it. So creating that immersive experience for your employees so they live the brand values every day. And I think Lego does it really well. And I mean, fortunately for them, they also are a play based product, right? So it's easier to some extent, to for them to kind of translate that into the workplace. So, and I wonder, right, how would you? So, for example, a company like Tidy, right? We are an employee experience product and service and a brand, right? How do we then bring that, into the office, into the workplace? Kiran, this is a question for you. Let's put you on the spot.
I have maintained even pre-COVID. You come, you do your work, and you leave. Whether it takes you 2 hours or whether it takes you 6 hours, it shouldn't matter. And I for one don't care. If you're
Hmm.
given a task and you have to complete that task, where you do it, how long you take to do it, it doesn't really matter. I think what was and the three co-founders, we keep talking about this, is that we definitely feel that post COVID, a little bit of that culture has suffered,
Mm, mm,
because people used to come and there was a sense of camaraderie
right.
in the office, right? And when everyone went remote, that camaraderie is just not the same online. And when new folk come, you don't kind of have that same sort of family kind of feel that happens,
Right.
right? Because you're sitting in Bombay and someone else is sitting in Delhi and the US and wherever it may be. You don't have that cohesive sort of family feel. So for me, the office is interesting.
Mm,
It's a place I don't want to ever have to force people to come,
mm,
but at the same time, the conundrum is that without it there is a sense of loss
yeah.
of something, right? So I think that's probably the problem for most organizations. The How do you kind of balance the two? You don't want to force people to come just for the sake of it, but without people coming, you're losing something as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That feeling of, like I was saying, working together on a common goal, and that usually works best. And we're all social animals. It usually works best in a common space.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
I actually was not talking about the working at all. The
Mm.
camaraderie is not built because of the working. It
Yeah,
actually
true.
isn't. I sarcastically kind of talked about the HR events and things like that. I find it not as useful if you have structured events,
True.
but the serendipitous kind of things that happen when people are together is what people remember and become
Mm.
memories, rather than a Thursday evening we are going to have Soumya come and talk about something, everyone please be there, right?
Yeah.
I think the I would say the modeled, like really thought through event planning is what kills it. The serendipity is what really ignites culture and that kind of sort of camaraderie within people.
But it's also tougher to uh, enable. Not enable, maybe that's not the word I'm looking
It's
for.
I
It's a
I, I don't know how you can do it.
Yeah,
I
exactly. That's the
don't.
thing.
Yeah.
Because without a common, for a reason for you calling people back to the office, that is not work related. Like you said, it's not about a meeting, it's not about a workshop or a brainstorming session. How do you
Yep.
still entice people to come back to the office? So that you can keep building on this camaraderie that you're talking about, right? This whole feeling
Yep.
of being together, and that usually comes from your personal relationships, perhaps, right? That, oh, I get
Yeah.
along with so and so, so I would love to, just catch up in the office and let's, hang out, right? Hang out in many
Yeah.
ways. But it's
I think it's
tough.
like a simple example, right? Is I was speaking to someone from our Bangalore office, and what they said was there's this place just across the office which sells ice lollies. The
Mm,
things that we kind of grew up with, those ice candies, which were
yeah,
5 rupees, 1 rupee, but now it's like way more. And they all went together to go get that, right? And they do that on occasion. Now that is not something that you can plan,
yeah,
but that is something that really helps create that sort of relationship amongst everyone over there. And I was like, whoa, I didn't know this place existed. I am going to come with you guys the next time because I love that as well. And that'll be awesome. Right. So I think that, again, I'm saying the word, which is one hell of a slippery tongue kind of word, but building that serendipitous sort of ecosystem is where I think people and culture will thrive. It's not the
maybe.
planned events, and that
Yeah.
helps anti coffee badging as well.
Mm. No, then maybe it's a matter of, literally saying that, because there's also the other hand, you're talking about flexibility. You have to give people the flexibility to choose when they come to work, but then to allow for this serendipitousness meeting or plan to happen, you do need to have one designated day, perhaps, that people do end up coming to the office anyway, and then you just play it by ear, right? So
Yeah,
every,
sure.
say, Tuesday and Thursday, we meet in the office, we work, and then we see what happens at the end of it, right? Do we go for a coffee
Yeah,
together? Do we do something else together at the end of the day? And then that's how rituals begin, right? Rituals start
yeah,
with one, a set routine that you set, and then that becomes something that grows into a more organic kind of thing, right?
yeah.
uh,
I think the reason, if you peel back the onion about, from a coffee badging perspective, my thought process is that someone would do that when they are forced to be there, but they really don't. They don't
mm,
see eye to eye with, their colleagues who are there or whoever else is there in the office at that point, and they just want to leave and go back home. Um, we're all social beings. We love being social. Even the most, I would say, introverted person is still a very social person.
mm,
As human beings, we love kind of interacting, and
mm.
so I think even the most introverted person, given the right circumstances, would not want to go back, and coffee badging would probably be a lot less in that case. But the challenge is, how do you enable that, and how do you kind of make that happen?
Yeah. What would
Soumya,
entice?
you have always kind of been more on the freelancing side, and especially now, right? So, what's your take on this? Do you ever miss going to an office after your initial few years, or you don't really care?
Honest, no, I don't miss having what I really don't want to go back to an office setup. But that said, those occasional times when we all get to meet each other, I do look forward to that, right? But I like the flexibility that comes with it,
Like
right?
when we
It's
met
not
in Bombay last week.
like how we met in Bombay last week, right? Yeah, so no, but to your question, Kiran, not looking forward to like being in an office setup.
So, if you were forced to come into an office, you would be the prime candidate for coffee badging.
Not
Mm,
really. Here's what I'll tell you. The interesting part, I would be the prime candidate for presenteeism in that sense. I would be there out of sheer fear because I have to do this. I don't know if that would translate into me being my productive best, right? And I think at places where whatever rules, whatever policies you establish is motivated by inducing fear, I think that's where all of these kind of trends originate from as well, which is your coffee batching as well. Like Kiran said, if there is a way in which people find that energy to come together because they really like enjoying that time that they spend with their team, then that's probably like what Debbie points out. It's your intrinsic motivation to be there and not like that external sense of fear that I need to be there, otherwise I'll have to face consequences. I don't think that really kind of works.
So, you
yeah.
will never coffee badge.
I am too scared to coffee batch.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There's
So
that.
that's the
That's
problem.
a
You will
fair
never
point.
bunk college. You will never go to college and then get out of the campus and go somewhere else midday.
No, because I'm too scared, and that's exactly
Ah,
how I was in
fair
college.
enough.
So you know what it is like.
Fair enough.
It does take a certain kind of person. I do agree. There is a certain amount of risk that you're willing to take when you do something like that. Pooja, we can't see you, but I'm sure we can hear you. What is your take on this? Oh, maybe we can't hear you either. Okay, Pooja's
So just
not.
having her coffee.
Pooja is coffee badging this session.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she signed in, and then you
yeah.
could see her in the beginning, and then she's gone.
And then she's
Okay, we'll.
gone. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but she's still there. She's still there, but she's not contributing to the conversation. So this is the perfect
So
analogy
then
for
that's presenteeism.
correct. Exactly. So then, what would we do to get Pooja to speak up in a
The-
situation like this?
when she does get her mic on and everything in order, she can jump in. But Debbie, will you coffee badge?
I think I'm more like Soumya in that sense that I would be very scared about the repercussions of doing something like that. Um, but then I think somewhere the onus of it is not just on me, the individual, right? It's also about who I'm reporting to, what I'm assigned to, the tasks that are given to me, the environment that's been created for me. So if I come into the office and I feel like I cannot be productive, there could be many reasons for that. Some of it will be because I personally don't, maybe I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I don't have the support to do what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I will, I'd rather do my work alone because that's just the nature of the job. So I need deep work time, so I cannot be in the office to do my work anyway. So I come in and say, hey, hi, what's up, and then go back home and do my work. So there could be many
So
reasons
you
in
miss
that.
being in the office because you're a remote employee.
Oh, completely. 100% I miss being in the office. I mean, I am
Okay.
a big, proponent of the whole flexibility idea. And yes, work from home is great for caregivers and parents, but it's also really sucky for parents, I have to say,
Yeah.
because when the days when schools randomly decide that okay, it's a holiday today, but offices don't follow suit, it becomes it adds double to my cup of stress, right? I'd rather be in the office and then not have to worry about it for a while. So there's obviously it's too nuanced, I think.
So you
That's the
will
other.
not coffee badge also because otherwise you will have to come home and do home things. So
Correct.
you'd rather stay in the office, maybe.
Yeah, I'd rather stay in the office
Yeah.
and probably be more productive, for all you know, right? So that's the
So
other flip.
that's the third new term then. So there's coffee badging, there's presenteeism, and what you do is escapism.
Correct. Work as escape. It's not a new concept. People do use it,
Yeah,
work is
yeah, yeah,
escape anyways. So yeah, yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Yeah.
For
Wait, I don't think any of us are kind of against being in office. Then, if that's
Hmm.
the case, why are companies struggling so much still? We are all at least okay coming in 2 to 3 days.
No, you just said, Soumya, that you have no intention of ever going back into an office. You just said that.
yeah, you said it. You said
Oh, yeah,
it.
I did.
So now, which one is
So,
it?
yeah,
Wait. I'm
that's
on
why
that side. I'm
companies are
not
struggling.
considering myself in that category. I'm like, I'm a freelancer.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
that's why companies are struggling. It's true. I mean, see, we get very used to our ways, and
Mm.
having 2 years of work from home, we've gotten fairly used to it. Getting lazy, getting whatever you want to call it, getting comfortable, whatever it may be. And I would say I'm in that boat too. I got very comfortable being at home, where it's not necessarily a need for me to go to the office.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I do it now to go meet different teams. And
Right.
especially, over the last 1.5 weeks, I've had to do it every single day because we're into that 2024 planning zone. And so you need to sit with teams and kind of figure out what's up for
Yeah.
2024. So I think, to your point, I think it's very challenging for companies because people have gotten used to their ways. If the pandemic had never happened, this would actually not be a problem because people would not have even kind of gotten used to the work from home world.
Yeah.
um, I think it would have
Yeah.
been very, very different.
Is
We
it
have a
possible to define that need basis that you mentioned, Kiran? Like you do it according to the need that comes up. Is that something that can be defined for teams, for job roles, instead of mandating like the days that they need to come in?
I think it is, but the problem then is how do you kind of construct those serendipitous moments, right? Because if it's just based on need, you don't know when that need is. You won't know the need for the entire organization. So
mm,
how, as an executive of a 500-person company, do you ensure at least 100 of them mingle on a daily basis, right? It becomes very tough, and I
yeah,
think that's the challenge.
correct. And we do have a question which is very important, is from Damodar, who's saying, what are the implications of coffee badging? Like, how does it impact the company and business as a whole? Because coffee badging by itself, like you said, is a negative term. It's sneaky. I mean, that's the implication in any case. So then what does it mean for a company that has employees doing this?
I think one of the biggest problems that people don't think about when you think about office is the inherent cost in maintaining an office,
Mm.
right? And so if a company has 1,000-seater office and 900 of them come between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. and then they're gone, what's happening post that, right? So yes, there's the whole employee experience part of it, there's the whole sort of engagement part of it, but another additional dimension that you have to consider from an exec level is also the investment that you're making to enable such a space. Even if it's a 10-seater, 100-seater, 1,000-seater, it doesn't matter, it is a cost, right?
Yeah.
It's the cost of the space, the utilities, everything that goes into kind of making that space happen. And so I think that's what kind of comes up from a CFO perspective as well. Then you have
Mm.
the CHRO who's concerned about how do I make these serendipitous moments happen. I love that word this session, so I'm just going to keep using it. And then for your managers, it's like how do I get people to work more and
Yeah.
together and collaborate and produce faster. So it's all three very different perspectives, with coming to office being the commonality.
And let's also talk about the cost to culture in general, right? Cost to
Yeah,
culture, cost to morale in the office. If you have
yeah,
more and more people turning up, I mean, this is transparent, right? You can see it. You can see when someone's just turning up. You can see your colleagues doing it. And how does that affect the overall,
yeah.
morale in the company? When
Very
everyone's just
important.
showing up just because and not really doing it, then it's almost like you are cheating the company, you're cheating yourself, you're cheating your team, your manager, your colleagues, everyone, right? What's the point of it at all?
Yeah,
I think that is the bigger question that we have to kind of also address here.
yeah. So I think the implication is, it'll be better if people don't coffee badge and just don't show up
Mm.
from a lot of various aspects. But
But
then
that's
you
not a
also have to
choice,
flip the coin.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. You have to flip the coin and say why are companies then forcing people to come,
Yeah.
right? And maybe that is the start of the problem. But I think it's a two sides of the same coin sort of issue.
I mean, especially considering now, I mean, we saw at the beginning of 2023 when we went in, it was still very much an employee market, so to speak. Uh,
Yeah,
Now the employers are kind of back in the driver's seat and saying that, boss, enough is enough. Now we're going to take charge again. So that whole shift is going to, I'm really curious to see where it goes in 2024, because right now it doesn't feel great because the economy is also not that great, tightening of belts, therefore less and less focus on people and more focus on profit. So that all of these things are what are ultimately leading us towards trends like these, right?
yeah. No, absolutely. And I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon, because it's not like the markets are suddenly going to turn overnight,
Mm,
right? So I wouldn't say it's a complete employer's market today in certain aspects, maybe. But, I think what's different is that opportunities are not just like everywhere you look.
mm,
There are few opportunities, and fewer opportunities for people who are not stepping it up. And so I think that's the problem, right? There are tons of opportunities. It's just that you can't just look
it's
to
more
any side and
competitive.
find, yeah, you can't find 10 opportunities waiting for you.
Yeah, yeah. On that note, I mean, before we wrap up, we have very little time left, is one question. So this survey that was done by Owl Labs, by the way, that led to this entire coffee badging term being coined, they found that 62% of coffee badgers are actually men and only 38% of women. Why do you think that is? Is there something to read into this, or is it just one study and an anomaly? What do you guys think?
Maybe it's your escapism that we were talking about. Maybe and let's kind of call a spade, right? Is that unfortunately in most households, maybe the woman is kind of dealt a shitty card where she has to do a lot of the housework and help with getting the house up and running and maintaining it, and doing the 9 to 5 job. um, and so it's easier to kind of escape and go away into the office. And I don't know if that pressure exists in the same way for a guy.
Hmm.
um, Again, this is an assumption. Yes, it can erupt into a lot of comments
No,
from
no.
here.
Fair, fair.
um, But I think that's a pretty big reason.
Samya, why do you think men are more likely to be coffee badgers?
I think the way we look at authority figures or the experiences that lead to a man and a woman looking at an authority figure, authority, it could
That's
be
right.
organization, it's very different. It's very different.
Yeah.
We want to please people. We probably want to be more, we tend to be more submissive towards ideas of authority than men do. I think they have
Mm.
always had that more liberty around challenging those ideas than we did.
Yeah.
So that could be a case as well.
That's a
And when you
fantastic point.
combine and when you combine the two of them, that is an insanely potent mix of why. What I would love to know is what age groups,
Mm. Yeah.
right? Were it
Absolutely.
women across the age groups, or was it a specific age group?
There was a point where they said millennials are more likely to coffee badge than other generations, and that also could be. And I mean, the study was assuming that it's because millennials are probably more established in the workplace, have stronger relationships within the workplace, so more confident about being able to just
Mm.
come and go. So that could be something.
But that
And
goes against exactly what we just said, right? Like, at least from an escapism perspective, what I was talking about,
mm,
usually you would consider them to be the ones who
yeah,
have a
these are
home and a
assumptions.
family to run. Yeah,
Yeah, there are so many assumptions we
that's
can use.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Like for example, to your point, Soumya, like even this whole idea of why men ask for bigger raises than women do, it
Mhm.
comes from a similar place, right? Of
Yeah,
confidence, of bluster, of being able to just go out and do what you need to do, or work for yourself rather. Whereas women are more not as open to doing that. So yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I love it. Great. I think on that note, we are out of time for this episode of Tidy Tea Time. Thank you to everyone who joined in today. This was the last episode of 2024. We will be back. Sorry, last episode of 2023. I'm already in the new year. We'll be back in 2024 with a new format of Tidy Tea Time. So I'm really excited about
Oh,
that.
even I
Yeah.
am excited and want to know more about this.
Yes, we're going to change things up a little bit more
Okay,
next year. So we'll be back. Do watch out for us when you're all back in the new year.
excellent. Thank you and happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank
Bye
you. Have
bye.
a great holiday season. Bye bye.
Bye.